Hi guys, who's the best grappler in UFC right now? I would say Khamzat Chimaev is the best grappler in the UFC right now. I'm not saying that he's the best grappler for all time because we had cases in the past where Khabib Nurmagomedov was dominating people from the first round to the fifth round. He was finishing people as well, and then we had George St. Pierre, very effective with double leg takedowns and had good submissions as well. So I'm just making a point. I'm just arguing that he's the best grappler right now. Can he be the best grappler of all time? He can possibly be, but I don't think he's proved it to that point because he only had a few fights in the UFC. But is he the most effective UFC grappler right now? I have a very strong argument about this. The guys that I'm going to put on the list to actually compare with Khamzat Chimaev are Islam Makhachev. We're seeing Islam has won many fights per submissions. His wrestling is very effective. His jiu-jitsu is very good. Merab Dvalishvili, Charles Oliveira. Who else is there? In the heavyweight, we don't have like a good grappler, not even in light heavyweight. Middleweight, I would say Hernandez, but again, Hernandez hasn't proved that much. So I would say Charles Oliveira, Merab Dvalishvili, Khamzat Chimaev, Aljamain Sterling, Movsar Evloev, and Alexander Pantoja. These are the guys that I'm actually going to put on the... And Arman Tsarukyan. There's one more guy. So these are the guys that I'm going to put on the list because these are the guys who have good wrestling, plus they have good jiu-jitsu, good ground control. So I'm going to compare those guys to Khamzat Chimaev, and I will make a point that Khamzat Chimaev is actually better than those guys overall. And to me, Islam Makhachev is going to be the closest one. It's going to be very close. I'll start with, let's say, Charles Oliveira. So Charles Oliveira, if you're talking about like the jiu-jitsu, he's probably got the best jiu-jitsu in UFC right now because he's got jiu-jitsu from the top and he's got jiu-jitsu from the bottom. So if he has anybody down and he's got the top control, his top control is very good. He's got good ground and pound. He's always looking for the submissions. And submission-wise, I would say he's probably the best submission artist in UFC. He's got the record to prove it. It's the most submissions in UFC. But I think we've seen when he's fighting like a very good wrestler, he's sometimes had trouble actually taking them to the ground. Although I do know that he's recently improved his wrestling as well, where he was able to take Michael Chandler to the ground and dominate him. But we've seen like when he fought Islam Makhachev was able to nullify his wrestling. Islam actually took him down. So in that case, Charles' wrestling wasn't that effective. So I would say he's a good grappler. He's a great grappler. But when the fight is already on the ground, then he's amazing. But he had troubles where he was fighting like a good wrestler. And even when he was fighting let's say a striker with a good takedown defense, sometimes he had problem actually taking them to the ground. So I wouldn't put him as the most effective, although he is very effective. Because if you can't control the geography of the fight, if you can't take the fight where you are like the best, then I wouldn't say you're the most effective in what you're doing. So Charles Oliveira, very good mention, but I wouldn't say he's the best. We have Merab Dvalishvili. Now Merab Dvalishvili is he's got a very strong case because his wrestling is very strong and he's able to take people down multiple times, and he's able to win matches by wrestling. So you could actually have an argument that Merab is probably the most effective grappler in terms of like he's controlling the geography of the fight. He's able to take everybody down. But I would say his ground control has not been the best. Like Merab, the reason he's been shooting that many takedowns and the reason people are getting out multiple times is because his ground control is not the best. And although he did get a submission in the last fight, we don't see Merab getting the submission. So I think that's the area where he's struggling. So I think if he's fighting a guy who's like a very good grappler, let's say a jiu-jitsu artist, he's going to struggle sometimes. So we're seeing Merab getting put in guillotine. So Merab had like a few losses on his record as well. And we've seen he struggles sometimes when he's against a guy who's got very good jiu-jitsu. So I think his hard matchup would be like a Pantoja. Like if he's fighting Pantoja, he might struggle at some point. So though I do think he's going to be able to overpower Pantoja because he's naturally a bigger guy. But like if we got somebody in the same weight class who's got like unbelievable jiu-jitsu, I think Merab would struggle a little bit because he doesn't have the best sort of like submission game, or he doesn't. There are times when he can get put in danger. So that I would say, but he's also a good mention. And then we will have Movsar Evloev. Now Movsar Evloev, he's fought a lot of guys and dominated a lot of guys. And I would say Movsar Evloev is one of those guys who's very good at jiu-jitsu as well. And his ground control is really good. Like he's been able to control people on the ground. His wrestling is amazing. His shots are one of the best. I love his shots. He's got very good cardio as well. So he can actually shoot the takedowns for like 3 rounds. He's one of those guys who's got like, not exactly like Merab because nobody can match Merab's cardio, but he's nearly kind of there. Very good cardio. But I think where Movsar lacks is, first of all, we've never seen him from the bottom. Like Aljamain Sterling was able to take him down. Couldn't hold him much. But I feel like Movsar, although he's very good, but even his wrestling is not on like, he's very good wrestling, but not on Khamzat Chimaev's level. Like when he fought Aljamain Sterling, he got taken down a few times. right? So that tells me that he's good, but he's not above the competition. Like, he's one of the best wrestlers in his division, but he's not above competition. So if he's facing a grappler who's as good as him, he's probably going to have like very hard time. But I feel like in Khamzat Chimaev's weight class, it's not even comparison. He's wrestling is a multiple level above everybody else. And the other case I would have is for Arman Tsarukyan. Now, Arman Tsarukyan is a very good wrestler. I actually like his shots. But even with the Arman, I think his top control is very good. But we have seen him against Charles Oliveira. We got put in a guillotine, and Charles, even at the end of the fight, he got put in like a Dawes choke. And he makes mistakes in grappling. I would say his grappling is actually still improving. Like, when he started, his wrestling was really good, I would say. But over the period of time, he's actually improved his grappling. So his jiu-jitsu defense is good. His top pressure is very good. His ground and pound is very good. That I give him, actually. That might be something that he has over every other grappler. Like, the way this guy does ground and pound, I think that's pretty much replica of what Khabib was doing. Like, Khabib's ground and pound was very good. Arman Tsarukyan might even have like a more vicious ground and pound where he's able to like open people up. But I think he lacks a bit of... He probably doesn't have a submission finishing ability. He has ground and pound finishing ability. He doesn't have a finishing submission ability. And probably defensive, there are things that he can do better. So he's not there. And then Islam Makhachev. Now, it's going to be between Islam and Khamzat. And I think these are the most proven guys because Islam has also done it for a very high level. Now, the thing with Islam Makhachev is everybody that is fought in his weight class, he's been able to take them down. So I rate Islam's wrestling very high, even higher than Arman. Like, when Arman fought Islam, that was like a real good wrestling chess match. Like, these guys are trying to take each other down. Arman was able to get him down, I think, one time. Islam took him down 3 times. So Islam was a better wrestler. I think there's one thing that Islam has got over everybody else, which is like the tricky takedowns. Like, this guy is just not like one-dimensional sort of wrestler either. He's got very good variations of the takedowns. So he's able to finish the double leg takedowns, single leg takedowns. But not just that, he's got very strong judo background. So that's why he's been able to do hip throws. He waits for the other person to knee. And Islam like sets trap with the takedowns. Like, he would wait for you to knee so he can actually flip you, do a judo throw on you, or like trip you or something like this. And he's got beautiful trips against the cage. So Islam has got variations to take down. We've also seen him doing like some other Russian shit during his warm-ups. Also the last takedown that he got against Dustin Poirier at the end of the fight, that was amazing. So I think with Islam, I rate wrestling very high. I think his ground control is one of the best. His ground control is really good. Although I wouldn't rate it as like Khamzat, as good as Khamzat, because he loses control sometimes. Very good, but not quite as good as Khamzat, because he doesn't control people for a long time. And I think it's because he's always looking for submissions. Islam is always looking to advance position, and that's why he's got so many submissions in UFC, because his jiu-jitsu is actually very good. And I don't know how good his jiu-jitsu is from the back, because we haven't seen him on his back a lot. I think he got reversed once by Thiago Moses, but he was able to like get up quickly. And then one time by Drew Dober. He has lost control a few times where he got reversed. Against Dustin Poirier, but he's never been in danger. Like Volkanovski, one time he was underneath for like 40 seconds, but he was extremely tired. So I don't really know, but I don't think anybody's going to put Islam on their back. Like, that's not going to be possible. I don't think so, unless he's fighting like a guy like Khamzat Chimaev, let's say, who's probably going to be able to take him down. So Islam, I rate very high. His top control, his submission, so everything is there. I just think that Khamzat is even a better wrestler than Islam Makhachev if you're talking about pure wrestling, because Islam finishes most of his takedowns against the cage, unless he's getting like a throw in the middle. But most of his work is against the cage. With Khamzat, because his freestyle wrestling background is so strong, he can actually finish the takedowns in the middle or against the cage, and his double legs are so amazing that you know that he's going to be going for the double leg, but he's still going to finish it. And the amount of takedowns that this guy is doing, and the way he's relentlessly going for those takedowns, like the way he took Dricus Du Plessis down 12 times, I don't think there is a wrestler in the UFC. I can have a strong argument that he's the best wrestler in the UFC ever, even better than Khabib. Although I would rate Khabib high in some other regards. Maybe Khabib never lost control on the ground and with submissions and stuff. But Khamzat definitely is there. And other thing I would say, Khamzat's submissions from the top are amazing as well. Just because he couldn't get a submission in the last fight doesn't mean that he doesn't have submissions. His ground control is probably one of the best. Like, who controls a guy who's bigger than him for like 21 minutes? That's I've never seen. That might be even better than Khabib. Like, Khabib had great ground control, but Khamzat Chimaev's ground control, like, the guy is literally just staying on top. Nobody is moving. Like, he crucifixed him. And then even the back position that he gets to. And I think controlling a guy like Ricketts is very difficult. We've seen nobody has been able to control Ricketts like this. So I rate him very high. Has he got jiu-jitsu from the back? I'm not really sure about it. He wasn't on his back position for like a long time. There was only one time, twice in the 5th round actually. But the first time he was able to get up quickly, but I think Ricketts messed it up. He went for like the guillotine choke, which was not gonna work on a guy like Khamzat. And the second time, it was just like 10-15 seconds left. So it wasn't a big deal. So I think Khamzat Chimaev, he's the best grappler in the UFC right now. He can take the fight where he wants to go. I don't think there's anybody in the UFC right now that can actually stop the takedowns from Khamzat Chimaev, not even in the light heavyweight. I think only the heavyweights would be able to stop the takedowns. And I even think that he's going to be able to take some of the heavyweights down if he moves to heavyweight, although they're going to have a big size advantage. But I think with the strikers, he's going to be able to take the strikers down. But with the grapplers, obviously because of the weight discrepancy, they might be able to stop his takedowns. Even I think with the light heavyweight division, he's going to be able to take everybody down. Even Ankalaev has got like a bit of a wrestling background. I would say more like a striker, but Ankalaev might be able to stop some of the takedowns because of the sheer size difference. But I think he would get Ankalaev down as well a few times. But with middleweight, I don't see anybody stopping the takedowns, to be honest. So I think, to me, Khamzat Chimaev is the best grappler in the UFC right now. He's most effective with his grappling. He can finish fights with grappling. He can control fights with grappling. He can take fights to the ground. He's got all the abilities.